Greetings, YouTube. This is DecKrash, better known as Brandon. Alright, this is sort of take two for this video because the last time I was trying to do it, I noticed that the recording system kept freezing over and over again, so I had to pause it and play it back, and it was just sounded all messed up, and I kept on, my image kept on freezing over and over and over again. So fortunately, I hadn't gotten too far in the last video, so I can start all over again without feeling like I have to do a ton of work. So, how do I want to begin this? Oh, little preface here. If I start breaking out into a fit of coughing, I'm okay. I had been to CypherCon this past weekend, and a day or two later, I ended up getting a severe, well, not severe, but I got a pretty nasty case of the con crud, and so I've been coughing everything up. So yeah, that's been fun. Okay, so. And by the way, I want to extend a lot of appreciation to people who watched my past video. It's very rare that someone who's internet and YouTube nobody like me gets over 1,000 views. I mean, the only video that I have that got more than over 1,000 views was really my review for the Inheritance series by Christopher Polini. That gave me views in the tens of thousands, but of course, some YouTubers get views in the millions. That would be a dream come true for me. But I'm probably not. That's probably not going to happen. My channel, I tend to talk about smaller things or religious things, which of course aren't terribly popular. Uh, but as I said before, I do have plans for other things before long. So, to the task at hand. Now, I'm not going to bore everyone by repeating what so many other users, YouTube content makers, have said in much better ways. I'm not talented with programs like Sony Vegas. I don't have enough time to learn them. I only do my stuff on Windows Movie Maker, so I can't make my videos all flashy like they can. But they have pretty much covered this new development in the situation with Channel Awesome a lot better than I have, and I will have links to a few of the more interesting ones and more informative videos down in the doobly-doo. But I do believe I've found my voice in saying something in particular. And it began when, of course, I first found the information on when the response was released on Facebook. Like I said before, I practically live on Facebook, and I had forgotten that I had not unsubscribed from Doug Walker's Facebook page and the Channel Awesome Facebook page, and the notice of their second response came up in the in my timeline, in my feed. So I was kind of interesting. I was kind of interested in what they had to say because I was thinking surely they can't think that the response that they made the first time, the "We're sorry you felt that way" response, was going to fly. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, have some decency and try to make a better response. But of course, after reading that response and of course looking back over what a lot of YouTube YouTube users have had to say about it, that was not meant to be because still there was just more condescension, a lot of cherry picking in the data, leaving out certain elements. For one thing, trying to cover the whole deal about what some of the things about Lindsay had to say, complaining about the so-called rape scene in To Boldly Flee. Now, I don't know. I wouldn't personally call it a rape scene, though. Of course, the way that it was presented made it sound like a rape. So, I'm not going to mince words here. But they conveniently did not go about with what Lewis had to say, Linkara. And Linkara made that pretty obvious to his when he made a response on Twitter, because I had gone back to the response. I'd read the responses in the comment area on the Channel Awesome site where they had posted the response, and I had read the comments on it on Twitter under the Change the Channel hashtag, and what I saw was just a lot of pissed off people. Uh, and I just could not blame them. I just looked at this and I was like, well, you guys didn't just shoot yourselves in the foot. You shot yourselves in the foot, the head, and the crotch. And sure enough, they've been hemorrhaging subscribers again. And as of today, I think there are only 3 or 4 content producers left on that site, when not but a week ago, there were probably more than 40. I remember the last time I had looked before this entire thing went down, and I hadn't been to the back up to the Channel Awesome website terribly often, but every time I would go, I would check the drop down menu, and there was always so many people, so many different categories. Now they've lost nearly everybody. I think one of the last holdouts who's a major content producer is oh, what's his name? Brad, the cinema snob. And I'm kind of wondering, there's got to be some reason. And I remember seeing in one of the responses that they that they were saying that they had 4 people who owned Channel Awesome, and there was soon to be a 5th one. I'm kind of wondering if that was Brad, if he hasn't left now. Maybe he had some sort of stake in this. Who knows? But not only did their response anger a lot of people and just, you know, cause many people who were sitting on the fence to finally leave, um, it also accidentally uncovered the identity of a person who had the intent was to be have the person be left anonymous. I don't know why this person wanted this person to be left anonymous due to what she claims had happened. And this was, of course, the case of the anonymous person having groomed one of the content producers, and a little bit of internet sleuthing kind of revealed that most likely it was Juario. Um, and just then Juario was the one who, if you don't know, had killed himself through a self-inflicted gunshot a few years back. I remember learning about that when I was working at Applebee's at that particular time, and it just kind of, and I never really followed a lot of Juario stuff, but I knew about him and knew that he was a sort of a pillar of the Channel Awesome community, I guess you could say. And this was just, and the fact that they kind of put this under wraps, though admittedly they might have had good reason to, still just was another really damning bit of information that has just been proving to be the final few nails in the coffin of Channel Awesome. Now, there's a lot more to this response that was posted than I'm giving up. I'm just mentioning a couple of things that kind of stood out. Like I said, I will have a link in the doobly doo to the actual response and some videos off of YouTube that I think could probably be the most informative about it. It's just going to make you sad. And just like I said, seeing this happen. Now, at first, I wasn't sure what I would say in a follow-up video. I knew I had to make one. Well, I mean, I didn't have to, but you know what I mean. I felt obligated to make one. But it wasn't until I spoke to somebody on Twitter about a particular aspect of this entire hullabaloo, and it was when I made pretty much just a statement on Twitter about was just thinking, for the love of God, and everything's holy, nostalgia critic, screw your pride and fire Mike and make a freaking genuine apology. It won't save your brand, but it may repair at least, some of the damage, and you can start again. Well, somebody had responded to me and basically explained to me how they can't just fire Mike because Mike is pretty much the CEO. He's the majority shareholder, and Rob and Doug probably wouldn't be able to buy him out, even if they wanted him, wanted to fire him. And I was thinking, well, if he's the CEO, he could be voted off the board, but like I said, they have to buy that person out. Um, and the conversation. To make a long story short, the conversation evolved to us kind of just figuring out when what could be done, and I think that they would, and I basically said that I think that they would have to come to a very hard decision, and I think it will require nothing more than Rob and Doug basically falling on their proverbial swords and giving up the Nostalgia Critic IP and just walking away from the whole thing. Now, I know what a lot of you are probably thinking, that this is Doug's bread and butter. You know, um, Even if he's, and yes, Doug's not completely innocent in the entire debacle anyway. But from what we've read in both the 60 some odd page document of complaints, in addition to the responses that Channel Awesome has given. And interestingly enough, in both the responses that Channel Awesome has given, no names were attached to it. Most people are supposing that this kind of the it has Mike's fingerprints all over it because of how condescending he is to especially the female members of Channel Awesome, to our former providers. But all that aside, whether it was him or not, or if Doug pretty much signed off on this and said it was totally okay. I think that he's probably realizing now what a big mistake he made in phrasing this thing that way, and really not just having the humility to apologize and maybe try to open up a dialogue with these folks. At the very least, it would have gone a long way to people regaining their respect for him, and maybe a few people will probably come back. I don't know about the content providers, but they probably would. Other content providers probably would not be so reticent to, go back to this to Channel Awesome, or try to consider Channel Awesome. Um, anyway, I was saying that what they would have to do in the case of Channel Awesome, since site and the YouTube channels are dead in the water. I mean, they are like bleeding out subscribers. Yeah, they still have over 1 million subscribers, but when you have so many people who know about this debacle and so many people hate them and have no more people willing to associate themselves, and from what I heard, they also lost a lot of their sponsors. I think almost all their sponsors and their biggest people left as well. They pretty much have nothing. Sure, Mike could stay the CEO, but and if even if this whole deal is like has four majority shareholders with a fifth coming on the way, 25% of nothing is still nothing. In the end of the day, I think that Rob and Doug really need to realize something, is that Channel Awesome is finished. The reputation of the nostalgia critic has been irreparably tainted. Now, Doug has talent. You know, when he reins in his ego, he genuinely has talent. And that's how what got him to his position, being one of the biggest people on the internet for so long. Was he had talent. He understood how to do things, make these shows that were really interesting. Yes, what was that thing? Like Demo Reel was kind of a letdown, and personally I actually didn't mind Demo Reel. felt it wasn't as good as a nostalgia critic, but I didn't hate it. Um, but he has talent. I think that given time, he could begin again. Like I said, to get out of this mess is going to have to require a great personal sacrifice by Doug and Rob, and that is for them to fall on their proverbial swords and walk away, leaving Mike pretty much holding the empty money bag and saying, you want to, you don't want to buy. Listen, I mean, I'm thinking that Mike is the one now being just stubborn, and they could just simply tell him, and this is all conjecture, by the way, of how I feel things must be in this situation right now. I don't know. Maybe they're all in cahoots and don't give a crap. It could be that. But if it is really Mike's arrogance that is holding everything back, then I think they would just have to tell Mike, straight up, you want Channel Awesome? It's yours. Good luck finding anyone's going to work under you. And then they just go off and do their own thing. First thing they need to do, though, is make a genuine apology to the people who were once their content providers. You don't have to ask them back. All they need to do is just say, look, we're sorry. It was our arrogance or Mike's arrogance that held us back from really making a genuine apology. We should have listened to you, and now we're standing on the ashes of something that we once loved, and something to that effect. And just say they're sorry and try to begin again somehow, some way. There may be a chance. There may be a way to salvage this. But I think as far as Channel Awesome, is concerned, that this enterprise is now pretty much dead. I can't even fathom how they're going to manage to recover from this. Now, maybe they will. The internet tends to have the attention span of an anemic gerbil, and they're probably just hoping that this whole thing will blow over so they can just go back to doing what they did, getting people in who probably had never heard of the whole deal or didn't care. But I just cannot see how that would be such a big name as Channel Awesome and such a massive and visible debacle as what has been happening and building up for the last few years, culminating in what just happened about a week ago, and seeing just this meteoric crash of a once great and proud enterprise. I don't think anyone's going to really want to work with these guys anymore. I mean, there was a point where Doug had an opportunity to get out of this, maybe not smelling like roses, but looking a whole lot better. But I think he missed that opportunity. I'm Every time I think about what's happened, I'm reminded of that song from My Fair Lady, Just You Wait, Professor Higgins, where Eliza's screaming out, just you wait, Professor Higgins, just you wait. You'll be sorry, but your tears will be too late. Um, and right now I think they're in that moment where they're probably crying those tears and probably too late. At least that's how I think it might be. I mean, these guys might just be a bunch of arrogant jackasses who still don't see the error of their ways, and they're sitting there scratching their heads wondering, why don't they believe us? I don't know. But I just wanted to give my thoughts on the whole deal. Like I said, I mean, this isn't funny to me. I've seen some content providers joking about the whole thing. I was watching a podcast. No, it was a live stream by a guy called the Social Injustice Warrior, and just making fun of Juario, making these crazy memes about Juario's sexual improprieties, or alleged sexual improprieties. And I didn't laugh at any of it. I was just like more like, whoa, But after a while, I changed the channel basically. I went. I told you I still had crud. But I went somewhere else because I got tired of that, and also realized that this isn't, even with the whole issue that came down because of him, it's not. It's not funny. None of this is amusing or hilarious, at least not to me. It's sad, just terrible. And like I said, I'll have some links down there for those of you who are new to what's been going on. You can see what's been going. You can see for yourself and make your own conclusions. Um, and by the way, people, please do not go and harass these former content providers. Many of them, most of them have already left. And a lot of them don't like talking about this. Then some find the whole affair disgusting. I was watching Radio Dead Air Monday. I'm a fan of Nash, and Nash was just unloading on people who had going off harassing some of these former content providers because of this whole deal. And if you're and also if your intent is to make a response to me just to try to tell me that I'm wrong and make try to make me look like a fool, I can respect disagreement, but not condescension. If you want to talk to me, I have a standing rule: keep it civil. So you can disagree with me down there. Just keep it civil, please. Because if not, you're not going to be talking to me for very long. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, this looks like, I mean, unless they do something like actually make a genuine apology, do a 180. There's something that pops up in where Doug is saying, we decided to get rid of Mike, or we are striking out on doing something else. And really, I don't think that's ever going to happen because I think Doug has really painted himself into a corner. His decision to give Mike so much power and so much of the shareholding for Channel Awesome is just one of those things that I would have added into my short-lived "Great Moments" and "What the Hell Were You Thinking" series. And Lord. So, anyways, like I said, I'm just spinning my wheels, as I like to say. So, thank you all for watching, and I'm going to be coming back sooner with maybe something that's a bit more entertaining or fun. Maybe not be something that's as attractive to everybody, but hey, if you like what you see on my channel and you want to see more, hey, comment, rate, subscribe, click that little button down there, and we can do stuff. And as always, when making comments, keep it civil. So until next time, guys, this is DecKrash, better known as Brandon, and as always, stay lucky and stay blessed. Take care.